And finally, on Sunday, another good game, a nice fixture that you want to end your afternoon to. I think it'll be a game of some really good football, and that's at 4:30, which is Arsenal, who are hosting Leicester at the Emirates. I'm going to start with Arsenal. I'm going to take my Tottenham hat off, and if I'm going to look at it as if I'm a neutral, Arsenal have done brilliantly over the last season. Considering they were the banter club and they were bottom of the league, they've managed to churn results and they find themselves comfortably favourites for the top four. Everybody around them is looking at Arsenal to implode, but if Arsenal do their job and win games that they should do and win other games and just keep going on until the end of the season, the Champions League football is there for them. So Arsenal have done well in games. They've got players that are doing the job for them, and it's pretty clear that they didn't. Getting rid of Aubameyang, as much as everybody thought Arteta's deluded, was the right thing to do because it's raised morale. They've got players like Saka, who is pretty much going to be the young player of the season. Martinelli is somebody that Arsenal fans have been crying out for ages, and he's showing why the fans were right. Lacazette, although he hasn't been scoring goals, he's a great foil. He proved against Watford the other day that he's happy to set people up, and for me he was a bit frustrated that he didn't get a goal because there was times where other players that he'd set up should have laid him off and they weren't doing that. And but again, as him being the standing captain, I don't think he'd be that bothered as long as they get the top four. And he had his great moment against Wolves when he scored in the last minute. So I think the good thing that Arsenal fans will be looking at is that they're not necessarily playing exactly the football that an Arsenal fan would want. They're not playing the invincible football, let's say, but they're nicking results. And for me, nicking results and making sure you're winning, whether you're playing well or not, is a sign of a good thing. You can't always go and beat everybody 4-0. It just doesn't work like that. Football doesn't. You look at Man City. There's times where they played Brentford and won 1-0 at home, when people were probably saying they could be 4 or 5-0, but they're beating them 1-0, but they're just making sure that they get the result onto the next. And I think that's what Arsenal are doing at the minute. So they've won their last 4 games, I think. The same as their opposite number this weekend in Leicester. That's why I think it'd be a good game. Leicester were down in the dumps, but they've raised their game up. They had a couple of good results in the Conference League. They've had a couple of good ones in the Premier League, notably 2-0 away to Burnley. Burnley had just beaten Tottenham quite convincingly in a 1-0 victory. So you're looking at Leicester thinking, are they going to go there? But they managed to turn their form around there. And I think the plus for them is that they've got Vardy back. The guy is 35 and he's still the same runner, the same aggression, and he's just scoring goals. He comes back and scores goals like he never left. And I'd say 3 weeks ago, Arsenal would want to have played Leicester 3-4 weeks ago when he was injured. Now he's back and he's back in the goals. Vardy scored quite a few goals against Arsenal, along with the other top 6 sides in the country. So that for me makes it an interesting game. I think it'll be very cagey because Arsenal will be aware of the threat in behind with Vardy. Maddison's back into form, and Leicester are slowly getting their injuries back. But again, Leicester will have to be mindful of the counter-attack going over the way, because the youngsters that Arsenal have got in, your Odegaard, Martinelli, and as aforementioned, Bukayo Saka, it's like there's only so much you can do before these sides attack you and score. So because of that, I think it's going to be a really good game. I think I'm going to sit down in front of the telly and proper look forward to that game, and I think it's going to be a 2-2. I think there's no way there's going to be the odd goal in this game. I think there's going to be, it could be one of those games where there's mistakes, there's bookings, penalties, all sorts. I think it's going to be one of those, a cracker of a game. So I think it's going to be Desmond there, and as I mentioned earlier, I think it's going to be Vardy that's either going to score the first goal or he's going to get a goal. I think if he does what he normally does, Arsenal potentially give away a penalty and he gets his goal that way. But if not, at some point he's going to be fed by the midfielders in Tielemans and Maddison, and he'll find his goal that way.